What's up, everybody? It is Daryl Woods with the Master Your Day, Master Your Life podcast, where we deconstruct the day of the exceptionally successful. And today, we got another exceptional guest. He went from prison to building a multi-six-figure business, on the way to multi-millionaire business, but we'll get into that. But super excited to have him on. He's also one of the best dressed guys I've ever seen. We gotta give him his props when you get to see it. But ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome Robert Gardner. How you doing, Robert?
I'm blessed, brother. How about yourself?
Good, good, man. I'm super excited to have you on, and as I stated, you've been able to build a business and do tremendous things in your life now on the outside of being in prison. But we want to know, like, how where does this story start? Like, what was that moment for you where you began to take your life and your day serious?
I would say during the beginning of my incarceration, um, I stepped out my cell one day. I remember it like it was yesterday. And and who have anybody that's experienced that journey, they know how challenging the energy is in there. And so this day I stepped out and I just happened to, I don't know, it's like an out of body experience. And I looked and I just saw the bitterness, the frustration, and the anger. And I was like, man, this is not for me. And I prayed and answered. I said, God, don't let me become like the energy that's in here. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And I mean, that's not to be judgmental or pass any judgment on anyone, but it just really did something to me. And from that moment forward, I was like, I can't do this. I got to do something different.
Wow.
And so that's what galvanized me to make that paradigm shift that I needed.
Wow, wow, and that's a packed moment. Because to me, what it sounds like is, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, but you got disgusted with the idea of becoming something that you knew you weren't. That something that you knew you could be better than. You know what I mean? Is that kind of what sums it up?
Absolutely.
Nice, that's awesome. So so that was the moment where you got the light bulbs that started to come off. But take us back, like how did you end up in prison? What was your sentence? What's the story that led up to that?
Oh, so when I was 18 years old, just for my 19th birthday, I encountered an altercation that unfortunately caused someone to lose their life. And so that ultimately led to me receiving a 25-year sentence plus two for the gun.
Wow.
So subsequently, I served 22 years and 8 months.
Wow, 22 years. So how long have you been out now? Um,
Just 6 years. Just at 6 years.
years. Wow. So you spent 22 years behind bars, and I'm sure you got so many different stories you can relate just about those 22 years. But you spent, is it almost half your life in prison?
It was over half. It was over half my. I went in when I was, you know, 19
Yeah.
basically, and I didn't get out till I was 41.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And to be where you are at now, it's just a testament of what you've been able to done in such a short amount of time. To build a multiple six-figure business, and I don't know when you hit that mark, but now we're going on six. Even if you did in 6 years, that's a tremendous testament to what you've been able to build, though. But so I know, like how what happened in prison to prepare you for when you got out to hit the ground running to build your business. Like, what's the story behind that?
It first started, as I stated earlier, when I stepped outside my cell that day. I, just had an out of body experience, and in that moment, I knew that I couldn't fix myself. I really had to. For me, it took me taking a step towards God. That's first and foremost, and recognizing that the mess I had got myself in, look, I need Him to get me out of it.
Right.
So that was first and foremost. I began to, seek Him, uh, and just, draw as close as I could to Him. I began to go to services, and that right there really gave meaning to the challenge I had encountered. Because and as I began to do that, I realized that whenever we encounter situations like that in life, it's like if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, it's you find meaning in the suffering. You find the meaning in the midst of that suffering, and it makes it more bearable or
Wow.
easier to cope with, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's what started, and then a few other things behind that.
Wow. I mean, so I mean that's a deep concept. You found meaning in prison. Like how do you find meaning in some? I mean that's probably one of the worst places you can be, just from a human existence standpoint. You know, the worst place you can be is in prison or dead, right? Because you're separated from your family. You're not able to just experience life. So like, how were you able to find meaning in such a dark moment?
You know, it's a quote that says, "Until the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain of change, you'll remain the same until you die."
Wow.
I think that right there really, just the pain that I had inflicted upon myself as a result of the poor choices I had made up until that point, really, really. I mean, it was very poignant, man. It was heavy on me.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there were times when I wanted to be dead. Honestly,
Wow.
I didn't even want to live.
Wow. Wow. I mean, 22 years, and those dark moments, and you say you had a moment where you began to change. You started to change your life around. And I know
Mhm.
right now you have your trucking business. Like, how did that process go? Like, did you get right out of prison? You jump right into the trucking business? Was it something that developed on the inside, or how did that go about?
No, so if I could just run through a few steps. One thing, no, that started prior to my release from incarceration. Um, I think after I started, saying, "Look, I need God." I started, looking at myself in a different light. What I mean, I had to really um, see, you can only achieve that which you perceive of yourself. I had very low self appraisal. You know what I mean? And so I think my spiritual journey led me down the path to looking within myself and developing the belief in myself to make a paradigm shift towards another direction, if you
Wow.
will.
Well, I mean, we gotta restate that one. You can only achieve. What was that? That was good.
Yeah, you can only achieve that which you perceive of yourself.
Wow.
So if I see myself, for instance, if I see myself as an owner of a trucking company, if I can really grab hold of that and see myself and envision myself doing that, then I'm inclined to make that happen
Right.
by God's grace. And so that's when I started really start taking a look at my life and say, look, what is it that I want to do once I'm released? And so once I did that, it says a man without a vision shall perish. I began to develop a vision for my life, what I wanted to accomplish, what type of man I wanted to be. So as developed that vision, I started, start preparing making preparations to bring that to fruition. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And this is all in prison, right?
It's all during incarceration.
Wow. Wow.
All during incarceration.
Wow. So you got to a moment where you started to evaluate your perception of yourself, is what I'm gathering. And like, how does, before this moment, what was your perception of yourself that created the results that you got that landed you in prison? Like, what? Because this is really deep stuff, Because we all
Mm-hmm.
have moments in our life where we want to change, and then we
Mm-hmm.
want to change, but then we get confronted with who we used to be, and the mistakes we've made, and it's not just for you, right? I mean, obviously your
Mm-hmm.
mistake led you to prison, but all of us have made mistakes. All of us have these self perceptions that keeps us and limits us. But yours is like it landed you in prison, so I imagine that the battle is even greater. So like, how did that come about? I mean, it's just so interesting to me.
Um, the perception that I had of myself that landed me in prison was that I wanted to be a drug dealer.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that stemmed from, my father. I lost my father at a young age. I was like 14. So, I lost him in 1989. He died from AIDS. And so, that right there really, really did something to me. I carried a lot of shame because back then, you heard someone dying of AIDS back then, that was taboo. So I lied to people up until 2002, 2003 about what my father died from. I would say lung cancer because of the shame. So that right there was the turning point for me in terms of veering away from the things that was productive or conducive for the betterment of my future to gravitate to guys that took a liking to me, took me under their wings, exposed me to the drug life. And so that in and of itself, it just shaped my perception of myself. Look, I'm going to be the next drug dealer. I'm going to be the next, And so taking that path led to my incarceration.
Wow. So really, I know it was probably a lot of moments in there that kind of produced those feelings in you, right? But you spoke about one moment, and that was you're losing your dad, and that created the emotion or the feeling of shame. Is that the word that you use?
Yeah, because just the shame of him dying from AIDS.
Right. Yeah.
I could not, and I have to thank this lady by the name of lady and gentleman by the name of Felix and Paula Searles and Rosalind Worthy. They helped me to overcome the shame associated with that.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of different things that contributed, like the people that you hung around and all that stuff, and there's different choices that you made, but it really just started with one feeling, and that feeling was shame, and obviously probably with that is like guilt and condemnation, all that type of stuff. But the thing I'm getting at, audience, for the folks that's listening in, live or in a podcast, if you feel shame, you feel guilt, you feel any of that stuff, it's totally against you to harbor it and let it grow in you. Because the more it grows in you, the more it's going to direct your choices and direct your decisions, and it's going to lead to you not going for the things that you want to create, your vision, and the positive things that you want to create in life. So that's deep stuff. But going from there, go ahead.
If I add to that, also shame is a form of self-hate too. You know what I mean? So if you really if you're possessing that energy, because feelings are really energy. They're energy.
Yeah.
Feelings are energy. So if you're taking on shame, and which is a form of self-hate, we all suffer from it to one degree or another. But until we're able to break that barrier of shame, we're going to remain in bondage. You know what I mean? I couldn't openly speak about what I'm talking to you about now because of shame. I hid behind who I was or what my family was about. It became mentally and emotionally, primarily spiritually, tormentous. It was very tormentous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, go ahead.
no. So I just wanted to just touch base with that.
No, that's it's good stuff, man. It's going deeper than I thought it would. I mean, obviously I knew this was going to be good, but this is going deep now. This is good stuff. Because like you said, all of us are dealing with that type of stuff. But so for you, how did you make that transition of feeling that shame, feeling that guilt, I'm sure with that fear and all that, how did you make that transition to create the positive feelings and energy to create where you are right now?
When I was in prison, I never forget the Nation of Islam brothers. They used to always try to get me to join, and so they used to see me, study and things of that nature. One of them came up to me, brother, I want you to speak, brother, and I forget what event it was, and I get guys knew I was into business, and so I said, well, he said, I want you to come speak on business, speak about business. And so no one had ever asked me to do that. And I was like, it's no way I can do this. I already had dealing with self-esteem issues at the time.
Yeah.
Coupled with the greatest fear in the world, public speaking.
Right.
So I'm like, how in the heck I'm gonna do this? So I got in my word, I said, I gotta get something. And reading that word where it says, I'm created in the image and likeness of God.
Wow.
When I read that, and you gotta keep in mind the mind or your spirit or your brain is only gonna operate off the information that you feed it. So when I kept reading that scripture, I do it today. When I encounter an experience where I'm feeling like, I'm like, you know what? I'm creating an image and likeness of God. So when I started reading that, realizing that God resides on the inside of me, and realizing that, wait a minute, I'm created in that image and likeness, it just made me look at myself in a totally different light, and I started developing the self-confidence that's necessary to take on challenges such as that.
Wow. Wow. So you changed the way you see yourself.
Exactly.
But it's when I talk about like this kind of work, it's kind of like having a old girlfriend, right? You got an old girlfriend. Let's say you're in high school. You know that high school love be different. You be thinking you in love, and you be doing crazy stuff, for the girl, and then you break up. But one of the things that happens is when you try to move on, you got a lot of energy going on with that ex, and if you don't get rid of that energy, it's going to be hard for you to move on. And the analogy I'm thinking about is like your old idea of yourself was that ex-girlfriend, right? You had a lot of history with that, right? But you had to move on to that new person and give that energy. See, a lot of times we know this stuff. Like I think all of us know the concepts of change and changing your self-image and changing and become a better version of yourself, seeing yourself different. But what happens is we got so much history with that ex, and we don't give enough energy to that future self, to that person that what we want to become. But I'm saying that to say that you said you read it over and over and again. So, I think, yeah, you made that decision that you wanted to change the perception of you, but also you put in the work. You put in the energy to create that bond of becoming that new person. So, what am I spot on, or am I off?
No, that's absolutely correct. Just I had to put in the work um, and focus on. I mean, excommunicate myself from the things that was stifling my growth.
Right.
So you hit it dead on the head. But the other thing too that really helps is, a lot of times in life we're not even aware why we do what we do.
Wow.
When it comes to certain issues in life, and so for me, um, when I also began to evaluate the underlying issues in my life, why did I deal with self-esteem issues? What was the genesis of that? And I was able to I was able to go back to that, where it stemmed from. And so that, God realized that we all are, everybody is created in the image and likeness of God, not just me, everyone. And so it says, I heard something, the human mind must think of its creator as it look upon itself. And that's a simultaneous act. The human mind must think of the creator as it look upon itself. So when you think about yourself, you think about the creator too. So my point is this, that can sound cliche, but once you get rid of all of those underlying issues that create impediments to you seeing yourself when you seeing yourself when you think about God too, or when you think of, when you think about God, you think about yourself. Once you get rid of those underlying issues, I think you'll see a lot of positivity, a lot of productivity, things of that nature from a lot of them.
It's great stuff, man, and we can go on and on that path. Let's continue with the story. So you changed, and you changed the image of yourself. You changed the way you perceived yourself. What happened after that? Like, tell me. I kind of know the story of the preparation that you did, but tell the audience, like, how did you prepare for when you got out? Like, what did you do in prison to prepare for your business and to build from there?
Again, yeah, that's a good question, and that goes back. Number one, you got to have a vision. And then I believe this: when a man that moves with purpose makes motion. I
Wow.
don't care what you do in life. If you moving with a purpose, you may not make progress as fast as you would like to, or as fast as people think you should, but you're gonna make some type of motion. So number one, I started with a vision. I was like, what can I do when I get out of prison that will afford me the opportunity to make good money and not have discrimination shown towards me as a result of my felony? So truck driving came on. God placed on my heart, look, let's do truck driving. You know. And so what I did, I wrote to the Secretary of State. I obtained the CDL manual. I studied the sections that were required for me to obtain my CDL back and forth, inside out. So I knew that I also, the prerequisite to getting my CDL license, I had to uh, get my driver's license. And so I studied both those manuals. So I got out February 7th, and so, but let me back up. So I studied books on freight brokerage, business books. I started LLC, basic tax stuff, everything that I could study in terms of the things that would help me business wise. And I got motivational books. A lot of things. I just became a bookworm. So February 17th, I got out 2016. I didn't
Wait,
have a
we
homecoming.
gotta rewind this, man. 'Cause, I mean, it's too good to pass up. Like, so you're in prison studying the CDL, about your CDL license, studying about, obviously the motivation aspect. You first of all, you had the vision and the belief in yourself to, even before you got out, to say, I'm gonna start a trucking business. Like, you decided long before you got out, and a quote comes to mind from my mentor, to prepare for an opportunity that doesn't exist yet. Preparing for you were preparing for an opportunity. It didn't exist in the physical, but you were preparing for it as if it was going to happen. So we had to stop and just celebrate that. So hats off for you for doing that. But go ahead, continue.
All
My
right.
bad.
And so February 17th, I got out. Good friend Antonio picked me up. And I told him, I said, look, man, first of all, I went straight to DXL. I think that's in Oak Park, Southfield. Went there, got those prison blues. And I said, I got to get this stuff off me before I go see my parole agent. I went to see my parole agent. I said, look, first thing I want to do is go to the Secretary of State. Went to the Secretary of State, took my driver's license test, passed it. Boom. They told me, that was on a Tuesday, they told me I had to drive with someone for 30 days. I told them, look, I left there, went to 7 Mile, Evergreen, Detroit, because I knew what the law said. If you had your driver's license before, you don't have to drive with anyone. I explained that to them. The test, they gave me my license. By that Friday, I did the road test. That Monday, I got my picture snapped. I think that Tuesday, I was back in the Secretary of State taking the test to get my temporary instructions permit for the CDL. So
Wow.
I accomplished what was necessary that would allow me to take that test with a temporary instructions permit for the CDL. And essentially, what that did, that allowed me to get in the truck with someone and train. So I think a week after that, I went to truck driving school. So I got out February. I had my CDL license in May.
Wow.
And then a good friend Antonio gave me a job, and I started driving for him, and then the rest is history. Fast forward, November 2017. I drove to Pennsylvania and looked at my first rig and got it. Really got started in the business January 2018, and then the rest was that's where we at today.
Wow,
So
wow. So I mean, you're talking. So you got out, you got your license within, was that 6 months, pretty much?
about 90 days.
No, about my bad, about 90 days. Wow. Yeah. You
About
got
90 days.
so what Latasha, Daryl Senior, you move with purpose, is purpose and vision, and it's so true. Like within 90 days, you had your license. Within yeah, how long did it take for you to do your first drive?
So I went to truck driving school. You talking about from the time once I obtained my CDL
Yeah, yeah,
license?
yeah.
Right away.
Wow,
Right
wow.
away.
Yeah.
So I got my CDL license. I think May 27. It was actually 100 days. I got my license 100 days after being out. May 27, 2016. Literally, like 3, 4, 5 days, I was in a truck by
Wow.
myself driving.
Wow. So I know, just being in business and just really I know everybody, just from a life standpoint, there's typically, in order to go to a new level, it demands a new version of yourself. So when you got out, that was one version of you. But how was the leap going to business for yourself, like buying that truck? Like what was that process like internally?
Oh, that's when they say God works for man through man. I have to really thank a good friend of mine, Ray. He came to me and was like, man, you're not working at the time, because by that time I was some challenges that came about, and I was like, man, I don't have a truck, and this is nothing but the grace of God. He said, man, go get the truck, I got you.
Nice.
So for me, I was like, wait a minute. I said, you say what? So he said, go ahead and get the truck, I got you. And so I didn't want to take on that. I didn't want to take on that. I just fear on someone. I don't like on anyone.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, I tell you what, man, just give me, I think I gave me like 12,000. So I was going to put that as a down payment.
Yeah.
And then, pay him. So I think I paid him off in like 11, 12 months, something like that. And so that's how I, got that going. He came to me and I went in, so I purchased the first truck. I was dealing with a lot of trepidation, a lot of fear, like, should I do it? I don't want to own one. But, I took a leap of faith. Like, it's a quote that, chances make champions. So
Yeah.
I had to, step out on faith and trust that God was going to be with me on that journey.
Wow, wow. And here you are today, and we won't have you say the exact numbers, but I know he's doing multiple six figures, y'all. And you're talking to a person who started in prison, started his business, all within 6 years, to creating now a multiple six figure trucking business, and growing and growing, and just doing amazing things in the community, amazing things for his family. But I want to hear just kind of some of the tangible day to day type stuff. Like, what makes you? Because what I found is that, yes, you've learned and you've gathered a level of mastery of your life, but really that comes from different things that you do in your day to master your day. So what are some of those things that you do in your day that causes you to be productive?
I think, man, you'll never, with all, just my perspective, it's never, I don't think I'll ever master myself, because, and the reason why I say that is because you can never learn
Right.
enough.
Yep.
You can never, life is forever evolving, externally and internally. But I would say the thing that helps me to, like you said, for lack of better words, master, or, just being able to do what God has allowed me to do is exercising this principle here, and that is as a man soweth, so shall he reap.
Yeah.
And so one of the principles that I strive every day to live by is to sow unto others that which I would like to have sown unto me. So I'm always a person that I intentionally set out to just do well by people.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this because if I'm sowing discord in a person's life, eventually I got the answer to that. You know what I mean? Like I've told people this. Unfortunately, I've taken someone's life. I so strongly believe in this principle that someday my life may be taken. And I'm willing to accept that because that's the seed that I've sown into the universe. Now, I'm saying God can I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I've come to those terms because I'm so firmly convicted on that principle. A man, as a man soweth, so shall he reap. And I believe that once people really grasp that principle and concept, you will see a complete difference in your life. That's what really helped me to really evolve to where God has me today. And where He's taken me. Really taking that principle in. As a man soweth, so shall he reap. Whatever, life is like a gas tank. You get out what you put in. If you ain't putting no gas, if you're not putting gas in the gas tank, you don't go nowhere. You're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But whatever you put in that gas tank, it's going to determine how far you go. And I believe that applies to life too.
That's good, man. And I love what you said about it. You know, you're intentional about it. So you set out every day to sow positive things into people, into your work, and in result of that, you're reaping, right? You're reaping success in your life. So, and that's amazing, and it really talks to why you are where you are right now. What about just from an execution standpoint? Like, you know, what are some other things that you do in your day that you do consistently that you know that this is causing you success, happiness, fulfillment, whatever it may be?
I would say just taking action.
Nice.
And delayed gratification. I think a lot of people in life, for me, you know, delayed gratification is very critical and was very critical to where God has led me. And I say that to say this. A lot of it says in Proverbs, a man who loves pleasure will lead to poverty. And it's easy to get caught up into doing things we enjoy. I enjoy doing this. I like this pleasure. But when you develop the discipline to delay that gratification and really focus and develop a keen focus on whatever it is you're trying to do in life, in which I try to do, like recently, God has blessed me with getting into authority. It was a lot dealing with. I went through a lot of challenges and stress too. But the fact of the matter is, you got to keep the end result in mind. You got to keep the end result in mind and take action until you reach the end result. So for me, that's what I try to do when I take on things. I have a relentless determination. I don't believe nothing's going to break me in life. I say that with all humility.
Yeah.
But it's just your determination, man, is key. So determination, keeping the end result in mind, and just taking action. I just believe those are key, and that's what I try to, exercise. Like sometimes we all encounter our moments where we lose focus a little bit, but those are the times we have to recalibrate and really just focus on the end result and just take action, because no matter what we encounter in life, whatever problem in life we encounter, we have a choice to either wallow in it or take the necessary steps to get past it. And I found for myself that when I'm confronted with challenges in life, when I put forth actions to change that, I tend not to focus on the problem itself. I tend to focus on that end result. And I feel I have more of a fulfilled feeling within myself when I do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's tremendous, and you said so much. I mean, just go back to the first one. Just to put everything in a nutshell here. So number one, you said sow and reap, right? Focus on sowing good seeds into people, into your business, and you're going to reap a harvest, right? Number two is keeping the vision. The last what was the term you said? The end result. Keep the end result in mind, because one of the hardest things is keeping the end result in mind, because what happens is we want that short-term pleasure. Like, we want things to happen immediately. We want to do something in our business, take an action, and then see immediate result from it. So I totally agree with that. And that's so good. So keep the end result in mind. But the last thing you said is just being determined. And, all this stuff that you talked about, it really stems from that initial inner work that you did. In my opinion, you let me know if I'm wrong, but it stemmed from you changing the perception that you have of yourself. Because what happens is, when you have a negative perception of yourself, when you take action and you don't see the result that you want, you end up to make that mean, or what's it good? It reiterates. I'll just say that negative thought and aspect that you have of yourself. So it's like a cycle. You take an action, you don't get a result, so you make that mean that you're not good enough, and you've already thought that. So it starts with making that inner change in yourself, and then from there taking action. Then you'll be able to keep your eyes on the end result. Because if you don't make that inner change, you're going to just be stuck in a cycle. You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And just to add to that, I would like to say this: there's no way around the fire to get to the growth aspect of things.
Right.
You got to go through the fire. And as you were talking, all I could think about was the story of Joseph, right? How he was betrayed by his brothers. But the interesting thing about that story, he went through three different stages of exercising or his gifts, from Potiphar's house to prison to being second in command of Egypt, right? And so I look at the struggles that he went through each of those phases, right? But it all had a divine purpose in the end, which was to what? Help Egypt during the 7 years of plentifulness and famine, and the 7 years during the 7 years of famine. But the thing of the matter is that, and challenges we encounter in life, when we go through the fire, we got to embrace it, because you have to cultivate the character that's necessary to be able to maintain what God blesses you with, and to be able to get to where you need to get to. You cannot experience whatever level of success that God has for your life without first going through the challenges to develop the character to be able to maintain that when it does come your way. And so I think that, that's a very key factor to keep in mind too. Just embrace the struggle. Yep. Embrace the fire, because you're going to develop something that's necessary for the journey that you're supposed to be on in life.
That's some good stuff, and the comments they're saying yes, but that is tremendous, and it's so true. Like, I like to think of it as, and we'll end on this, but life is a series of tests, right? You're taking a test, and unfortunately, you could be stuck taking the same test for like years on years on years. And what that equates to is you're not building the character needed for the next level. So, going through the fires, going through that test, you got to build the character, build the person you want to become in order to go to the next level. And it's been said before, but like you talk about like lottery winners. You give I think 99% of lottery winners, you give them the money, look at them a year or two from that time, all the money is gone. Why? Because they didn't become the person they needed to be to maintain that level of wealth or that level of success. So, man, this has been so good. We can go on and on. We're already 45 minutes in, and I so appreciate you jumping on today. And I'm gonna let you have the parting words. Just let us know, like, what would you say to someone that isn't where you are right now. They're just getting started. They're struggling to get started. They're struggling to get to the next level. Like what's your parting words to them?
Man, I would just number one say, with God, all things are possible. You know, God takes the foolishness of this world to confound the wisdom of this world. God takes the base things of this world and just turn them into something, beyond what people sometimes perceive as, oh, that person's not going to do anything. And so I would like to lead by saying that, number one, God can turn any situation around. Number two, we are all greatness. All of us are greatness. It's just unfortunately we've encountered some circumstances that cause us to believe contrary to that. And I just want to encourage everyone to know that your internal dialogue is very, very important. Your internal dialogue is like, I mean, man, it's the key. Because that what you would perceive of yourself is what you're going to achieve or carry out. So I just want to tell people to, number one, God, know that it's never too late. Believe in yourself and know that determination. I said this before. I got this from Ivan Dean, the greatest salesman of the world, says, failure would never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. So with determination, vision, focus, delayed gratification, and embracing the fire, it's nothing we can overcome or accomplish.
Wow, and it's really that simple and so good, Rob. Thank you so much for jumping on, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Master Your Day, Master Your Life podcast. If you tune in at the end, this will be posted on my Facebook Live, also on Apple Podcasts next week. But thank you all for joining. Have a good rest of your evening, and talk to you soon. Peace.